Hi guys, Pat the Plumber here, and in this video we're going to go through the complete removal and replacement of this gas-fired water heater. So let's get started. Shut off the cold water supply to the water heater. If you are planning on replacing the cold water supply isolation valve to the water heater, which I'll be doing in this installation, you'll have to shut off the main water supply to the residence and reopen the cold water supply valve above the water heater. Close the gas supply. You can now begin draining the water heater. Attach a garden hose to the drain valve, direct the hose to a floor drain, and open the drain valve. To allow air into the system to help speed up the draining process, you can either lift the lever on the end of the relief valve or open a hot faucet in the residence. While the tank is draining, we can continue with the disconnect. Loosen off the union to the gas control. You may have a yellow flex connector instead of rigid piping as seen here. You would disconnect the flex connector at the gas control side. Unscrew the venting from the draft hood. I usually fire the screws back into the old tank so I don't find them laying around. The last step to being able to remove the old tank is cutting the water lines. I'm cutting above the shutoff valves in this installation because the cold side shutoff is leaking and the hot side shutoff is against code for residential water heaters in our jurisdictions. With the water heater now disconnected, you can move it out of the way to make room for the new tank. That non-functional leaking humidifier beside the tank was bothering me so much, I took a break from this install and removed it. Much better. Slide the new tank into place. Try to line up as many of the connections as possible. Water lines, venting, and gas. There will always be some alterations for the reconnect. In this install, I'll demonstrate two different methods to reconnect the water lines, using a SharkBite flex connector and using a dielectric union. The dielectric union has 5 parts: the threaded pipe adapter, which goes on the tank nipple, the gasket, the brass sweat adapter, and the isolation sleeve and union nut. Apply Teflon tape or potable water approved sealant to the threads on the tank nipple. Tighten down the dielectric union threaded pipe adapter. Using the old tank as a workspace, clean, deburr, flux, and solder a piece of copper long enough to reach your connections to the dielectric union sweat adapter. In this video, I'm not going to go into great detail on how to solder. If you need a refresher, please check out our other video on how to solder like a pro. Clean the hot and cold supply connections. Clean the replacement shutoff valve. Flux the cold water supply pipe in shutoff valve, then connect. Slide the isolation sleeve, then the union nut over the newly soldered pipe. Thread this onto the tank. Mark the copper to the proper length, cut, then clean and flux the newly cut end. Connect to the tank and shut off without the gasket at this time. You're now at the point where you can solder the new shutoff valve. Make sure to inspect your joints once complete. With the solder joints complete and cooled, the washer for the dielectric union can be installed. Tighten down hand tight first, followed by 1/4 to 1/2 of a turn with a wrench. For the hot side connection, I'll be demonstrating the use of a 𝗟𝗶𝗫𝗀𝗀 flex connector. These connectors come in many different lengths, sizes, and with or without shutoffs. Connect the threaded side to the tank nipple, hand tight first, followed by 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn with a wrench. There is no need for Teflon tape on this connection as it uses a rubber gasket to seal. Mark your copper to length and cut. It is very important to use a sharp, quality tubing cutter to make this cut. If there's any outside burr on the copper tube, it can damage the O-ring in the push-fit connection. Please use your manufacturer's push-fit connection installation instructions. Most require marking the pipe first to ensure the fitting is fully seated. Close the cold supply shutoff. Open the water supply to the residence only part way. This is to fill the cold side slowly and reduce water hammer. While the cold side is filling, open a cold faucet to purge the air from the system. Once the water flows without any air, the faucet can be closed and the main water supply opened fully. We can now begin filling the tank. Open the cold water supply only part way. Again, this is to reduce water hammer. Open a hot faucet while the tank is filling to allow the air to be purged from the tank. Continue to leave this faucet open until water flows steady without any air. This may take several minutes. Once the air is completely purged, the faucet can be closed, the tank's water supply can be fully opened, and you can check for leaks. Before connecting the draft hood and venting, ensure the baffle ring and baffles are seated properly. Most have a groove to sit in. Attach the draft hood to the top of the tank as per manufacturer's instructions. I personally like to secure the draft hood to the top of the tank with self-tapping sheet metal screws. Attach the venting to the draft hood with a minimum of 3 evenly spaced sheet metal screws. It is important to check with local codes for venting requirements, such as size, gauge, and grade. In our jurisdiction, the size requirements is 3" up to 50,000 BTUs, minimum 28 gauge, and 1/4 inch per foot grade. Next is reconnecting the gas. If you have a gas flex connector, this step is much easier, as you connect the threaded side to the gas control and the flared side to the flex connection. Remember not to use any sealant for the flared side connection. Our jurisdiction recommends rigid piping as seen here. There's no exact science to the reconnect. The main thing to remember is to work towards each side of the union. Having a nipple caddy and extra fittings definitely helps. The main goal is to be able to connect the union without having any strain on the piping. When making any connection, always use 2 wrenches to back up the piping. Use only gas-approved tape or sealant. There are way too many separate codes for different areas to go over in this video. Please check with your area for local requirements. Once the gas is reconnected, you can reopen the gas supply. Test all your connections with either a soap solution or approved leak detector. You're looking for any bubbles multiplying or growing. If you find a leak, shut off the gas supply and recheck your connection. If your water heater comes with a discharge tube for the relief valve, remove, tape, and reinstall. The final step is to light your water heater and adjust the temperature. Turn the thermostat knob to the pilot position. This will be the only position the knob can be depressed. While depressing the thermostat knob, push the igniter switch a few times until the pilot flame is lit and seen through the sight glass. Continue holding the thermostat knob down for roughly 1 minute and the light on the gas control starts to blink. You can now let go of the thermostat knob and adjust the temperature as desired. Congrats, you've made it through a complete gas-fired, atmospherically vented water heater install. It is strongly recommended to have a certified technician complete your install. If tackling the job yourself, please check your local codes as install requirements differ greatly from one jurisdiction to another, such as having flexible gas connections and restraining straps in earthquake zones, or having the requirements for a vacuum relief valve, expansion tank, or bonding wire.
Hi guys, thanks for checking out my video. If you aren't familiar with my channel, I basically make how-to videos that are trades related on my spare time. If this video helped you out, subscribing, liking, or commenting on the video would be greatly appreciated. Thanks, and we'll see you on the next one.